Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's TechBam. Welcome back to this dramatic reign of Order and Chaos by Tatsuro. Chapter 25. The Outsiders. Spike shivered as he stared around at the cold wind, falling ash, and white mountains surrounding him as the portal closed behind him. Okay, Spike, he muttered to himself. You can do this. Discord dragged you into this game of his, so Twilight, Rarity, and the others are counting on you to your part. You can win! You feel great! You can do! An echoing howl cascaded over the white landscape. I want my mommy! Spike yelled out in terror, diving forward and burying himself in the nearest pile of ash, shivering in fear. He remained there and hiding for a while before gaining a hold of himself. No, he stammered softly. I can't just hide and hope someone rescues me. Discord said, if everyone doesn't play, we lose. I have to stand on my own 2 feet. Carefully, he pushed himself up, shaking the ash off his body. Gritting his teeth, he took a few steps forward. A sudden battle cry startled him into falling back onto his tail as the specter image of an armored figure with a full beard charged him, swinging a bronze-spiked warhammer. Spike barely rolled out of the way of the first strike, only for the figure to charge again. Unsure what else to do, Spike desperately exhaled a blast of fire at the figure. The specter vanished as the flame overwhelmed it, the warhammer falling to the ground beside Spike with a dull thud. The weapon was nearly as tall as Spike, but he knew he needed something to defend himself with. Ash had gotten into his throat when he breathed out his fire, leaving him in a coughing fit. Managing to pick the warhammer up, he used it as a cane as he slowly marched his way forward, uncertain what he was supposed to do. The specter was not the last thing to confront Spike. Beasts made of the ash that swirled all around rose up to fight him, forcing him to defend himself. Desperately, he swung the hammer at them as they rose, and only occasionally managing to land a blow. Despite this, he pushed onward. They're counting on me, he mentally repeated as he pushed forward. Can't let them down. Maybe I've never been able to do anything before. Maybe all I could be for Twilight before now was an assistant. Just a useless little lizard that does as much damage as help he provides. Don't know why she puts up with me. As a much larger creature rose, Spike's eyes narrowed in slits. Now it all counts on me. I did read that right. If one of us falls, we all fail. I won't let her down. I won't let any of them down. I will not fail. A roar ripped its way out of his throat as he leapt into the air towards the attacking monster. His hands felt hot, and suddenly his green fire surrounded the warhammer, and the flame discharged into the creature upon impact, destroying it. Spike landed heavily, breathing hard as he held the warhammer in both hands, staring ahead. Once again, he brought a mantra to encourage himself. I can win! I feel great! I can do this! With this firmly in mind, he marched resolutely forward. He was pretty sure he was going the right way. Spike lost all track of time as he marched up one mountain and down the next. Using the hammer, he clutched to smash the monsters that rose in his path. Each time he faced a monster, it went down easier. Each time he swung the warhammer, it felt more natural in his arms. Each time the flame blazed forth, it came more easily and burned brighter. As he fought through, not all monsters were featureless or spectral. Some had armor, and when he bested them, he scavenged what he could for himself from them. By the time he crested the tallest mountain, he had managed to scavenge a horned helm, a breastplate he tied on, and a shield he hammered out of a strap onto his tail, both for defense and to add harder blows from there. As he crested the last mountain, a new figure awaited him. At first sight, he thought it might be an orc from Orgos and Abulettes. The green skin, the pointed ears, the protruding fangs, the metal armor and heavy club. However, it didn't act like an orc. As he approached, it bowed to him. Unsure what else to do, Spike bowed back. With a howling war cry, the same one that had scared Spike when he first arrived, the figure charged. Spike steeled himself. He may only come a quarter of the way up the creature's torso, including the horns on his helmet, but he would not back down. Laying out his own roaring battle cry, he charged in and brought his hammer up, blocking the club swing. As the creature lifted the club to strike again, Spike spun around, his armored tail slamming into the creature's knee, making it stumble. Reversing the spin, Spike slammed his warhammer into the creature's head, sending it tumbling to the ground. He then lifted his hammer, ready to finish the battle. Enough, a gravelly voice ordered calmly, the power in it freezing Spike in place. The figure Spike had been fighting rubbed its head as it got to its feet. Smirking, the figure saluted Spike jocularly before marching off, leaving Spike to turn to the source of the voice. The man that stood there bore some resemblance to the figure that had left, but he wore no armor and had a huge wound cut across his chest from his waist, raw and petrified. I am Malakath, Moldova, he greeted calmly and respectfully. What brings you to my realm? Spike swallowed convulsively, clutching his warhammer. Despite his former bravado, every instinct in his mind and heart screamed at him that he could not defeat this being as he was. Malakath sighed. You come from his world. Pursuant to his game, he muttered, kneeling down to be at eye level with Spike. I saw you enter, and did not believe one so small as you could get here on your own. I've watched your progress. Spike's eyes lowered. Not very impressive, I know, he muttered, letting the head of the hammer drop, holding it limply at his side. What makes you think that? Malakath inquired curiously. Just look at me! Spike spoke out harshly, the compulsion in Malakath's words dragging out the pain he long kept inside. I'm a dragon! One of the most powerful, dangerous creatures in my world! But I'm tiny! I grew up among ponies, but no matter how hard I try to fit in, I can never be a pony. I see in their eyes that I'm different, that no matter how hard I try, I'll never quite belong. And the one other dragon I've ever met, I tried to connect, and he tried to crush me. Can't fit in among ponies, can't fit in among dragons. An outcast in your own mind, Malakath muttered confrontingly. No wonder Discord sent you here. But why do you feel that makes you useless? Just look at me! Spike wailed out, fire shooting from his nostrils as his anger got the better of him. I'm just a baby dragon! I can't even act as an assistant librarian without torching books without meaning to. Twilight should have replaced me with that owl and left it at that. In rage and pain, he hurled the hammer from him. To his shock, it slammed into a nearby boulder and shattered it explosively. With a wide smile, Malakath walked over to the gravel and lifted the now glowing warhammer, bringing it back to Spike. You do not look like an infant to me, Moldova, he offered calmly, holding the warhammer out to him. Confused, Spike reached to take the warhammer, finding it much smaller than he remembered it being. Did this shrink? He asked in confusion. Malakath chuckled softly. No, he corrected, raising a mirror from the ashes. It is not the weapon that changed. Spike stared at his reflection in shock and awe. He was easily 2 feet taller, nearly as tall as Princess Luna. The hammer sat lightly in his hands, his arms and legs leanly muscled, his tail thick and thrashing, his armored chest broader than before. With the helm atop his head, horns curled, he looked. I see a warrior who has come into his own, Malakath stated calmly. An outsider who has fought for his place and will fight to protect it and those he cares for. I see one who will one day be a leader worthy of the Valdrong, which has found its way into his hands. Spike stared down at the warhammers in his hands. Volnjong? He asked confusedly. The weapon of the leader of the Dokken clan of the Doomer, Malakath explained. The one that guided them to their homelands. And now, it will guide you to those you care for, Moldova. To Spike's surprise, a portal opened behind Malakath, leading to a new land. Spike let out a sigh of relief. Thanks, he replied warmly, racing for the portal. He then paused, turning back. And the name's Spike! He called out before diving through. Malakath chuckled as he turned a particular stone over and over in his hands, feeling the power it had absorbed from being handled for so long. I shall remember that name, Moldova. Spike. Whew, and that's another one in the books. I do apologize if I butchered some of those orc names. It is unfortunate that I've never actually dealt with them that much. I've never heard them in game. I never got that far. And I think the end Doomer, that was, isn't that the Dark Elves? I don't know. I'm having an Elder Scrolls who's who again moments. But that's another chapter in the books. God, it feels like I've never been able to do some of these. It's just been hard for me to sit down, which sucks because I love doing them for you guys. But it just never seems to line up. But with a bit of luck, I'll have the rest of these done, hopefully by BronyCon this year, 2017. That's the time I upload. I'm going to be very busy the next few days, but we got one more done. In the meantime, folks, my name is TechBan. I wish you all good luck, good hunting, and safe travels. See you in the next one, my banditos.